How are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine. So, hello guys. Today we have with us Mr. Debanjan Bannerjee. He's a freelance producer for Copper 90. Copper 90 make beautiful content about football, by the way. He's a consultant and the founder of the FootyTraveller and had a site called footballculture.com. Am I right?
Yeah. I'm not really like a freelance producer for Copa 90. I freelance produce for other platforms as well, but Copa 90 is one of the platforms that I freelance produce for.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So first I'd like to ask you, how did it feel like, working for Copper 90, which is probably one of the biggest footballing medias which talk about culture?
I think working for Copa 90 is everybody like when you talk about football culture, mostly people look at YouTube channels like Copa 90 or there's another called Peleja in Brazil, and then there's more called Football Fans Asia. So obviously, when you're getting into football culture, those are the kind of videos that you grow up on. Like you see all of that, and you obviously inspired by that. So for me to be collaborating with Copa 90, collaborating is the word. To be collaborating with Copa 90 was, of course, a very good feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did this journey of active participation start for you into football and the culture?
So I mean, firstly, I am from Calcutta, Bengal. So it's whether you choose to be a part of it or not, voluntarily you are forced into it.
Yeah.
Uh, for me, I was not forced into it. I chose to be a part of it. Obviously, since growing up, I had been, involved in football in many ways. I mean, apart from just like playing, that is obviously there. But other than that, just going to the stadiums, man. I had been going to the stadium since I was 11 or 12 years old.
The
Mostly,
Salt Lake Stadium.
yeah, none of my
Oh,
family members they are into football, but all my people in my locality, especially the working class people, I used to mix with everybody. So we used to all go together to the stadiums to watch East Bengal Mohun Bagan matches, and generally at that point of time, it was not. I'm talking about 25 22 years back. 22 years back, and at that point of time it was not I mean, if you're from a middle class family, upper middle class family, or a middle class family, it's not really
sustainable, I guess.
no, it's not really like people don't appreciate the fact that you go to the stadium, which is very rustic at that point of time. The atmosphere in the Salt Lake Stadium was very rustic. It was very rough. There was a lot of it was not looked well upon in society. I mean,
Hmm.
you can say that there were fights. If you at that point of time, if you walked, I mean, if you walked around the stadium, you would see a lot of fights happening. You would see a lot of chaos happening for every match day. And generally, parents are scared to let the children go. But most of my friends, my peers, they would not go to the stadium, but I would always try to mix with everybody. So so I would somehow sneak out of the house and go to the stadium. We used to go in these tempos, in
Oh,
Calcutta they have small trucks, and on those trucks we used to get up on those trucks, and we used to go either on small trucks, or we have autos where we would be like 5 or 6 people in one auto, and we used to go to the stadium in the auto. Yeah.
so
So not just for East Bengal matches, but also for national team matches. I remember, and also whenever there was a match in the stadium, like I remember when the Bayern Munich team came with I don't know if it's spoken to Arunava sir. So Arunava used to, at that point of time, facilitate between these German clubs and get them to India. So when Bayern Munich came, um, when you had Maradona coming for the first time,
yeah,
then when you had India versus Japan, India versus I think UAE or some other matches. I don't remember which
even
ones
Messi
precisely.
had come to Kolkata, right? Messi.
That was much later, but I'm talking
Okay.
about a lot before that. So whenever there was a match, I live quite close to the stadium. So if I want, I can walk it down. But like somehow I always enjoyed going with people. So uh, I would try and go as much as I can. Yeah.
Oh, so what are your, some of the highlighting moments of you as a East Bengal fan? If I'm right, you're an East Bengal fan, right?
Yeah,
So
I'm an
yeah,
East Bengal fan. Yeah.
yeah.
I think if you ask the highlighting moments in the last 14, 15 years, we don't have much to talk about. It's pretty depressing. And I will really admit that me as a fan, I have actually walked away a lot from East Bengal because I don't subscribe to what is happening at the club and I don't like the way the club has been run.
Can you
And I
explain
feel,
the situation once from from the last 5, 6 years? What exactly has been happening? I don't know. So can you just explain once?
well, I mean, what exactly? I mean, if you look at the performance on the pitch, the performance on the pitch has been very, you know, dismal, to be the honest. And more than the performance, the way the club is run, the kind of the people that are running the club, the political influence in the club, the way that supporters are treated in the club, way they're threatened, the way they're attacked, the way they're, subjugated to, follow whatever the people in power are saying, or otherwise they have to face the consequences. So that sort of ideology and that sort of structuring of the club, both, I'm not just saying about East Bengal, I'm talking about Mohun Bagan also, because both the clubs are in the same
Yeah,
same
sad stadium.
under similar constructs of imperialism, if you might say. And I don't subscribe to that. And for me, uh, that is one of the reasons why I have stepped away.
Oh, at what point did you feel that they started losing their sanctity, so called?
I think this has been going on for a while, and obviously the 10, 12 years. And the thing is that East Bengal, Mohun Bagan have had a legacy of all of this. It's just that the people have not been able to pinpoint,
Mhm.
the exact ways, the patterns in which these people are behaving. And slowly, slowly, people are becoming more and more aware. People are becoming more and more,
Yeah,
conscious about how these people in power are behaving. And because they are able to look back at these data points and see that, okay, this happened this year, oh, this happened, the same thing happened last year in a different way, the same thing happened 2 years back again in a different way. So people are drawing these points up, and then they are taking decisions to mentally or as a group, as to put an end, because at the end of the day they are also fans, right? They have limited
yeah.
bandwidth, they have limited time, they have limited ability to change something. And over a period of time, when you are constantly into a picture where you have to deal with nonsense over and over again, people start to lose interest. Yeah.
Mhm. Also, I feel that social media acts, at least I'm on Twitter, and football Twitter is a crazy place, but it acts as like a sort of journal of events of what happened. So every time a club does something, there are people to remind them constantly that what is happening. This is what you did 2 years ago. And that is exactly shown to the club on their face. And luckily now the club is answerable to the
I
mass
think
public.
Twitter as a medium, and social media as a medium has been very effective. And
Mhm.
the fact that you pointed this out, that it is a journal and it's a timeline of what has happened, is actually very, very true. And the thing is that the biggest problem over here in this regard is that both East Bengal, Mohun Bagan, and Mohun Sporting, they are traditional clubs, right?
Yeah.
So they do not have a Twitter fan base. They do not have a fan base that is active on Twitter. They don't have officials who are affected by Twitter. They don't have officials who work in Twitter, who are looking after Twitter accounts or paying heed to what is being said in Twitter accounts, right?
Yeah.
So they are very traditional. They are very, localized um, power groups, if I might say, which are not influenced yet by the proceedings in social media, and that is slowly, slowly changing. And now I'm not going to say that it's not changing. It is changing. A lot of people are moving over to Twitter, and a lot of this is going. A lot of things that these fans are protesting about are slowly, slowly, infiltrating their rooms. And I feel that at a point of time there will be massive changes which is happening. You can see in the national stage where Twitter has become a medium where fans are expressing and uh, um, engaging in discourse so as to
Yeah.
make proper changes when it comes to the national affair, right? And we
Mhm.
and we hope that even for East Bengal, Mohun Bagan, and all of these clubs, at some point, this already started with the ATK Mohun Bagan campaign. East Bengal also, some of the campaigns that they started, the fan clubs at East Bengal and fan clubs at Mohun Bagan. and slowly things are changing, and we hope that someday something does materialize. But my favorite moment as an East Bengal fan, I forgot to answer this, is I mean, in the recent years, I think it would be uh, I think the derby where we worked on the tifo, which is I don't know if you know the reference, Cha Chini Dude, the banner with the man and the teacup and the
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, I think I
uh,
know it.
so that day was quite a lot of fun, and even I mean, especially the fact that the giant burst towards Mohun Bagan fans at the end of the day. So I used to be a part of East Bengal Ultras. I'm no longer a part of it, but like I used to work with them before. So at that point of time, like that is my most recent memory of the fan group. Yeah.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to talk to you, and this was a good segue I wanted to take, was that ultras culture is, I guess, on the rise in India, and that might help in changing things. But do we still have time, or do you think that ultras are forming quickly? Because I saw the Copa documentary and it showed that Bengal, Kolkata especially, had ultras. But do you think that the numbers still will take time to rise, or is it already in the making?
I think Ultras is not a group. It's not a culture. It's a mentality, right?
Mm.
It's the way you think, and it's the way you portray your ideology, and the way you want football to perform in honest, passionate, and a structured way. And that is the ultras mentality, right? So when we talk about ultras, most people think about groups. Most people think about okay, crazy passionate fans.
Yeah.
But if any 70-year-old, 60-year-old man is bringing up passion, putting points together and fighting for it, that is called ultras, right?
Mhm.
And ultras can be one person, it can be 10 people, it can be 100 people, it can be 1,000 people, as long as everybody is thinking in the direction of growth and support for the club or the country, right?
Oh,
So I would say that ultras culture is quite prevalent in India. It's we have individuals in every club
can you name the
who,
ultras of some of the clubs? I know them, but for our viewers, maybe.
I mean, I don't want to label them as ultras. As I said, ultras is a mentality, right? So
Mhm.
if you have people who think in the same way.
Yeah.
In East Bengal, you have people who think in the same way in Mohun Bagan. You have people who think in the same way in Chennai. You have people who think in the same way in Bangalore, in Delhi,
Kerala,
in
Mumbai.
Kerala, even in Mumbai, even in small places like Ahmedabad, Bihar, everywhere. Right.
Mhm.
So for me, ultras is not the fact that you have 10 people together who are supporting with a banner or a or a scarf and going to the stadium. Ultras is some way you're thinking, and if you're thinking in a way which can change the world around you, or you can change the perception of people around you, or you can change the structure or the establishment, in that case, you have what is called what it is to be an ultra, and that is why I choose not to label anybody as ultras. There are, of course, Blue Pilgrims is
Groups.
an ultra
Yeah.
group, ultras group, East Bengal Ultras group. You have Marinas Base Camp. You have BFC. Even though they don't call themselves ultras, they're similar in the way they
They're a
behave.
fan group.
They're
Yeah. The West Block Blues, no? Mhm.
they're similar. That's why I said like it's very difficult to label everybody as ultras. Super Machans, wherever you go. I mean, KBFC Manjapara. You have people and who believe in the same way, just like the objective is different. For some it's Bangalore FC, for some it's Mohun Bagan, for some it's East Bengal, so for some it's Chennai, right? But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, everybody who's thinking alike is the way people perceive, football and the way football should be, right? And for me,
Yeah.
that is the most important attribute anybody can have in fan culture.
Yeah. But now the fan group of East Bengal, like you said, I've seen in the documentary that they hosted sing-alongs for the fans together and many other events. Can you exactly tell me what are the activities which some ultras can do to unify fans?
I think some of the activities, in the sense that what activities generally most ultras do is that um, most fan groups do, I would say, is chant sessions. Mostly the
Mhm.
chant sessions happen in the inside in the stadium. But the fact that okay that they're able to spread the ideology through banner painting of banners, and like the thing, the how it works is that generally all of them have a core group, and the core group are basically the ones who are more involved in these aesthetic activities. And the way these core groups is go is that once they put out that product, maybe a banner or a chant or something of that sort, it resonates with a lot of other people who are not a part of their core group or not a part of the structure, and then they feel that, okay, this is something where I can belong to, or this is something where I can something which I can identify with. And then these guys approach the core groups, and then they join, and that's how it gets bigger, right? So I mean, the basic functioning of most groups, it can be ultras or it can be anyway, or any group, any social group, is the same. And so ultras group, or any fan group or any other fan group in football or anywhere else, they perform in very similar social ways. So it's that, like painting, chanting,
Tifos.
or organizing shows together, tifos, banners, then they have tools for the identity, like for example scarves, stickers, and all of that. Yeah. So
Yeah. All that sounds really happening. And also, I feel that since it's quite a new thing in India, the fan groups are less toxic here. Am I right to say that?
what do you mean by that?
By less toxic, I just mean that they don't harbor ill will towards the other side as much as other clubs, or they don't commit violence and bad things. Because personally, I don't have much of an experience of going in Indian club matches or in the Kolkata Derby. But can you tell me
Mhm.
more if there is some kind of bad element
Amongst
here?
the fan groups, of course, I mean, I would say that compared on a relative scale compared to other countries, I would say that we are much more civil, right? But that doesn't mean that there is no violence. There is violence in the Calcutta Derby, but in most cases, violence happens on a very, I would say, um, let's say, on a very.
But do you think that in India it's much better than the other foreign countries?
Yeah, in terms of violence, of course. I mean, I think Indians in general, when it comes to sport, they're not very violent. The reason why is that it's difficult to say. I think, I mean, compared to other countries, what I've noticed is that violence is mostly either tribal or organized, in the sense that in some countries, which is underdeveloped or developing countries, where the tribal is mostly where the violence is mostly tribal. But in developed countries, when it comes to football culture, casuals and hooligans, it's more organized violence. It's between groups. It's not,
Yeah.
it's not 100 200 people running and beating up one person, which is prevalent in developing countries when it comes to
Oh.
violence.
Mhm.
So that in that case, the violence over there in those countries is much more tribal. If you come to Calcutta, or India, I would say most of the violence is on Twitter. Most people are fighting with each other on Twitter, which is still in a way, I think it's not acceptable, of course, because at the end of the day, like you are hurting people mentally or physically, whatever, if not physically. But I think uh, it's it's I feel it's a safer way,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
safer way.
obviously. It's much better
Uh,
to fight
yeah,
online with words than
not better, but
physical.
it's a safer way to like express your disgust for your rivals, I would say. But in the sense, in Calcutta, sometimes it does get out of hand, and most the thing with Calcutta is the violence over there again is very tribal, in the sense it is not organized. It's not like 10 people versus 10 people. It's generally like 50 people pouncing upon two people or one person, 10 people pouncing on one person. This used to be the case before, right? uh, Now it's slowly on the decline. You don't see much violence at all. So yeah, I mean, it's good. I think as long as there's no violence in football, it's
Reducing, yeah.
it's good for people. Yeah.
But yeah. From my end, the thing I could think about was the Kolkata Derby. Could you exactly tell me that not only is there a Calcutta, East Bengal and Mohun Bagan rivalry, but I think Mohammedan is also a sort of a rival with these two guys, and maybe
Yeah.
even an ATK is in the equation. So can you tell me more about all the important clubs in Calcutta first? I would
ATK
like
is
to.
dead. I don't know why ATK is in the equation. But
I
yeah, there
thought
are
there
three
might
clubs.
separate. There might be separated again. ATK and Mohun Bagan.
I don't think that is going to happen. And if that does happen again, it's going to be back to the same scenario, right? Where there are no fans. I mean, at one point of time, if ATK, I mean, I feel that if ATK did exist long enough, they could have had fans. But because solely because of the fact that the way these two clubs are run, right? So, and the way ATK was performing. So if ATK was performing, continued to be performing, performing well, and East Bengal and Mohun Bagan was still are at the same point of time was still run in the way they were being run, then maybe ATK could have had fans from the new generation of people who are entering into football, right? But right now there's no point in talking about ATK because ATK is dead, and whatever's happening with Mohun Bagan is not fair. As an East Bengal fan, and I think 90% of the East Bengal fans, even if they laugh about it, they will agree to the fact that because it's the way the thing works in East Bengal and Mohun Bagan is like two hands, one cannot clap without the other,
Yeah.
right? So it's so at the end of the day, they might be making fun of it, but everybody knows that without Mohun Bagan or the original Mohun Bagan, the derby is non-existent, right?
Non-existent. Yeah. So could you
So
means exactly highlight the situation? I know the fact that ATK diluted Mohun Bagan's identity by adding ATK to it, and they actually did that to go to the ISL, right?
yeah,
Is that what happened?
I no, I don't. I think ATK, the officials, they approached both East Bengal and Mohun Bagan. East Bengal did not want to, tie up with ATK. Mohun Bagan officials decided to tie up with ATK, and that's how initially before they approached East Bengal, before approaching Mohun Bagan, and which we got to know much later. And luckily for us, we did not have to be put into the same situation, right? But at the same time, we are in any way not any better off than Mohun Bagan when it comes to corruption or structure or whatever. Yes,
Mm.
we have our identity is intact, but everything else is as bad and if not worse.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I mean, and when it comes to rivalries, I think yeah, it's generally it's ATK, Mohun Bagan. Sorry, it's Mohun Bagan,
Mm.
East Bengal, and Mohammedan Sporting.
Yeah.
These are the three clubs. When ATK was there, it was not a rivalry. It was a hatred for both East Bengal
Yeah.
and Mohun Bagan. They used to hate ATK because
Mm.
initially they both went and supported ATK because they thought that this is going to be a separate league,
I.
and the first few years, ATK had a lot of attendance because both East Bengal and Mohun Bagan fans used to go to the stadium to watch ATK together. That is unbelievable in the sense that generally you don't have East Bengal and Mohun Bagan fans in the same
Stadium.
pulva in the
Mm.
same stadium. But at that point of time, they used to go and support ATK because it was positioned as a Calcutta only club. Like
Mm.
identity of Calcutta, not identity of East Bengal or Mohun Bagan. And that when East Bengal, Mohun Bagan, even Mohammedan sporting fans used to go and watch those matches. But after what happened with Sanjeev Goenka, the way he portrayed the ATK brand and demeaned East Bengal and Mohun Bagan, and then what happened with Mohun Bagan. After that, people was like, what the fuck is going on? So
Disheartened. Yeah.
not disheartened. They were like, like you're threatening our identity. So that's and that is not acceptable. So yeah, so ATK was never rivals. I mean, people used to hate them. I mean, apart from that, the rivalry is between East Bengal, Mohun Bagan, and Mohammedan Sporting. But Mohammedan Sporting, the rivalry used to be very strong before. But now it's more like, East Bengal and Mohun Bagan, they want Mohammedan Sporting to do well. And Mohammedan Sporting also, embraces the support of East Bengal and Mohun Bagan fans. So if you look at the Durand Cup final, where Mohammedan Sporting was there, both East Bengal and Mohun Bagan fans went to the stadium and they were supporting Mohammedan Sporting. they took their banners and they, were sitting next to the Mohammedan Sporting fans, and they were,
Why
supporting Mohammedan
so?
Sporting.
Why were you
So
supporting?
I feel, I think that the identity of it's a very complex structure to be actually be speaking about, but I feel it's more to do with the fact that Mohammedan Sporting is a Calcutta club, and Mohammedan Sporting is in the final of the Durand Cup. But now, if you think about it, that if East Bengal was in the final of the Durand Cup, and Mohun Bagan fans would not have gone and
Yeah,
uh,
supported.
sat. Maybe Mohammedan Sporting fans would have done that, right?
Mhm.
But Mohun Bagan fans wouldn't have gone. Mohun Bagan fans would have gone to the stadium, but they would not have supported East Bengal. They would have been on the other side, right? So
Yeah,
the funny thing is that they will all go if there is football happening in the stadium, and if it is not their club that is playing, right? They will all go and watch the match, right? Whether they choose to support the club or not, that is a different issue altogether, right? But if the people of Bengal, they love football, so whenever there is a match happening, they will go and watch the match, right? If it's East Bengal playing, you will find a lot of Mohun Bagan fans in the stadium, but they will not sit next to East Bengal fans, or they will be in some other part of the stadium where they will come to watch the match, right?
okay. Yeah.
They will not come to support East Bengal. But when Mohammedan Sporting is playing, it's like, not only have I come to watch football, but I've also, I'm happy. I don't have any animosity towards Mohammedan Sporting as such. I mean, they
Yeah, they're
might
the
be a,
neutrals, it seems. They're the
they're
neutrals in
not
this.
really neutral. It's like when East Bengal and Mohammedan Sporting are playing, there is some sort of a rivalry, but they're not neutrals. But it's also like the fact that, okay, I mean, I can't have two big enemies at the same
Mm.
time. I can have
Mm.
one big enemy and one small enemy at the
One
same
small
time.
enemy.
So it's
Lesser
like
of the two evils. Yeah.
Fenerbahce, Besiktas, and Galatasaray. Is
Calcutta.
the structure of Calcutta football is like that. They have three big clubs, and then we have multiple small clubs like Bhawanipur FC, and now we have new club which is started by the Trinamool Congress. Uh, I think Mamta Banerjee's son, Diamond Harbour FC. So they have started out in a very professional way.
Wow,
Then
wow.
we have Tollygonja Academy. We have all these clubs which are all very old clubs. I mean, they've been around for like a long, long time. Like even some of them are even older than East Bengal and Mohun Bagan, right?
Oh.
So like Calcutta Football Club is older than Mohun Bagan, right? And I think even which one? Anyways, like there are clubs which are much. I mean, East Bengal is a relatively new club. If you look at the Calcutta football structure, I mean, there are a lot of clubs, many clubs are there which is older than East Bengal, right? But these clubs are clubs which are run by families. They don't have a
Okay.
support base. The reason why East Bengal and Mohun Bagan have a supporter base is because of the cultural identity that is associated with them.
And the win in the Durand Cup and all those famous victories, right?
At that point of time, yes, but like East Bengal has ethnic identity associated with it, right?
Yeah.
Uh, Mohun Bagan also by default has an ethnic identity associated with it, and also because of the fact that East Bengal is there. That's one side of it. The other side of it, that they were involved in the nationalistic movement for a long time from the beginning. So there is that identity that is associated, and that is the reason why they have these huge fan bases. Mohammedan Sporting is they've got the religious identity attached to it, right?
Yeah.
So that is the reason why they have these fan bases, not because they have been successful. I mean, success is one aspect of it, right? But the reason why they have such huge fan bases is because of the identity and the rivalry, right? All combined
Okay.
together.
Yeah, all of it as a package together. What are your opinions on the new ownership rumors about East Bengal and about Mohammedan? The Mohammedan thing, I would really like to see another ISL team finally. And in East Bengal, I don't know about Manchester United. I hope it happens, but even I hate the idea of Imami trying to purchase East Bengal because then it will be two rivals owned by the same uh,
Look,
person, which is
again,
stupid.
when it comes to ownership and East Bengal club, I don't leave any opinions because I know that you know there's a lot of things which are going on inside which is not open to the eyes of the public in India. People sitting in Calcutta know what is going on, right? But when what is being put out in the media is a different thing altogether, right? So we don't want to comment, and we know that okay, at one point of time we've come to a conclusion. There's no point in speculating about all of this
Mhm.
because all of these are run by very shrewd, cunning, and manipulative people, to be honest. So we do not comment on things which are not permanently fixed in stone. So once they are permanently fixed in stone, then we can comment about it. Till then, any rumors of East Bengal or Mohun Bagan, we
Agree.
take it from one year, we take it out from the other year,
Mhm.
because all of these.
Yeah, so you were talking about how all these are just rumors and we should not speculate further, right? Because we don't know what is happening.
Yeah.
So you said that all of these, conglomerations are controlled by powerful businessmen who, essentially are corrupt. But again,
Not powerful businessmen, powerful political people, not
okay,
powerful business. There's a difference. If there's a businessman, then a businessman would work in the interest of making money.
yeah,
When you have political people who are controlling it, they work in the interesting of in holding on to the chair,
yeah,
right? You don't have people who are working in the interest of making money. So when you make money, when you try to make money, it automatically rubs off. Uh, it automatically rubs off in the way it automatically rubs off in the way you conduct your operations on the ground, right? I mean, you try to make more money by making it more professional, right?
yeah,
But that's the thing with powerful businessmen. But with political leaders in the system, you don't think about money, you think about holding on to power. I mean, money is obviously there, but like your main concern is power, right?
yeah.
So in that
Al-
case, yeah.
Okay. Also, the last thing I wanted to talk to you about, you have a channel called the FootyTraveller where and that is something I like, football tourism. That is something I love. I'd like to, visit places, see their culture, see their jerseys, see their colors, see their fans. So, how do you feel that India is different from other countries based on the footballing fan culture?
I think it's a very lengthy question to answer, but like I feel
Yeah,
to summarize it, I
it's a broad
think
question. So,
yeah, it's a broad question. It's a deep question. I feel in other countries, in most other countries that I've been to, football is the number one sport, right? And everything is centered around
to name
football.
the few countries which you've been to, one of the biggest footballing countries,
You can
Indonesia.
say Indonesia, Malaysia, I've even been to Europe, to the UK, and I'm talking about big footballing countries. Even you can say, yeah, these countries. I mean, Indonesia, Malaysia, Europe. I've been to other countries also, but I mean, the common factor in most cases is that football is the most important sport in their country. And whether it's a national sport or not, I don't know. But like in most cases, it is the most important sport. Like the majority of the mass or the people, all they consume nothing other than football. And because it is there, so the economic system around football is a lot more deeper. It's a lot more wider. There are a lot of people who are working in football in
Is
India.
it
If you
more
look at,
honest there?
no, it's not honest. If you're looking at the people who are working in football, the number of people who you will be able to judge football culture by the number of people who are actually employed in football in the country, right?
Mm.
The number of people who are participating individually to cultivate football. Someone like you, right? How many people are there like you in India? You can count 10, 15, 20, 25, 30,
Mhm.
40, 50, right? 50 people like you at the max in a
Mm.
country of population of how many people, right?
1.3
So
million.
you have
Yeah.
to think about ratios, right? You have to think about ratios. You have to think about the reference point that we're talking from. In most of these countries, the ecosystem of football is so strong that it automatically
Churns out.
involves
Mm.
and turns out, uh, if not professionals who work in the sport, but at least discourse like communication, behavior, participation, whatever it is, right? In India, that is not there. So that is where we suffer the most,
Yeah,
in the sense that
totally.
we do not have enough people working in enough positions like journalism, like podcasters, YouTubers, fan groups, artists, designers, so and so, so and so, so and so, who are working solely in football and who can sustain their lives through football.
Yeah.
Right? So that
So
is the biggest problem that we have, and the reason why we have it is because of the incompetency of uh, the federation or whatever it is there around us. We have had a head start when it comes to most other countries. We economically far better compared to most other countries that I've been to, right? And if we want, we can really change that. But the fact is that because people don't care at the top, people who care at the bottom I don't really care about getting into the system. We have so many people who are into football in India. How many of them are into Indian football? Most of them are into European football,
Yeah.
right? And you cannot blame them. The reason why you cannot blame them is because they have limited time, they have limited money, they have
Limited
responsibilities,
resources.
they have family, everything is there. They have to study, they have to work, and they have only 2 hours or 3 hours where they can, watch football, right? In those 2 hours and 3 hours, if you have an empty stadium, if you have your team, which is, which is not there most of the times. For example, in Kerala there was no team for the longest time, right?
Yeah.
In Calcutta, your team is run by corrupt people, right? When you're watching the national team, they're only losing. It is run by corrupt people, right? So every time you're seeing something for enjoyment, all you're feeling is distress, right? So why will you watch national local football? You will obviously choose to watch European football, where you
So
don't
true.
have to
Yeah.
face the stress. You can face the stress sometimes, once, twice, thrice, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. After that, people get fed up.
Yeah.
After that, they also are humans, man. They also have psychology. They also have feelings. They also have emotions. Nobody can hold on to this forever, right? So at the end of the day, that cultivation of culture is not there, and no one wants to make this a happy place to be in, right? And because of that, people are dropping out of the game, at a far, 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 far faster rate. I'm not just talking about the people who are dropping out of the game. I'm not talking about just players. That is
Okay.
there. That is forever. People who want to take it up as a career. Someone like you, if you can run this channel for the next 2 years, come back and thank me. Okay.
Yeah.
You can if you could, and tell me that, okay, I have kept up to your word that I can run this channel for 2 years. If you look at all the people who started channels, how many journalists works in football in this country? Don't. So that is the problem, right? There is not enough economic incentive, social incentive, and psychological incentive to enter into the sport in this country.
Yeah.
In
So
other
true.
countries, what happens is, because football is the number one sport in the country, despite the fact that the national team does not do well, right, an ecosystem still exists because
Yes.
people,
Yes.
because everybody devotes all of their time to football.
One game.
Yeah, to one game, right? But in India, it's apart from the fact that the ecosystem doesn't exist, the ecosystem also cannot grow because of multiple other games, right? So there are many factors. So this is the reason why this I feel is the biggest difference between say Indonesia, Malaysia, and India, or
Okay.
England, Italy, Brazil, Argentina, and India. Okay. One second difference is the lack of a common language, right? So if you look at
Oh,
these,
yeah.
ultras groups everywhere around the country, in most of these countries, they deliver in one language. Ultras Malaya, one language. Ultras Garuda, one language, right? Baras Bravas in Argentina,
Argentina.
in say one language. Portugal, one language. Everybody is one language. In India, you don't have one language. You cannot go and impose Hindi on somebody. One.
Yeah. You
Two.
can't.
You cannot go impose on Bengali on someone. You cannot. English might be the common language, but it's not the preferred language. It's
Yeah.
very difficult
It's not the
for people.
comfort language at all.
It's not the comfort language. So where is how do you expect this to grow? Thirdly, I mean, this unity, I would say. When it comes to unity between fan clubs or fan groups, again, this is the same problem because India is so diverse, so different in culture, so different in languages, so and so, so and so, so and so. It's difficult for people to, mentally be on the same wavelength at all points of time, right?
Yeah.
And because of that, you see that, okay, at the national level, there are people who are not, they have ego issues, this, that, and all of that. And all of these problems, they come together and they can't come together to combine, even in the club levels. you have multiple fan groups of one fan club, even when the club is so small.
Yeah.
It is normal to have multiple fan groups or multiple for a huge fan club, right? But your club has not even been in existence for 5 years or 3 years or 4 years. You've not developed a full stadium yet, and you still already have 2 or 3 fan clubs, right?
Yeah.
So this is what segregates, in a way, is detrimental towards the growth of the sport. I'm not saying it's their choice at the end of the day. It's people's choices, right? I mean, you can't question the choices, and I am nobody or anybody has nobody to question the choices. But at the same time, that these are the reasons why it's detrimental for the growth of the club, right? Thirdly, fourthly, communication between the fan clubs and
Coordination.
the federation, and either the federation or the clubs, the people who are running the clubs. There is this perception in Indian football that if you work for a club or if you work on the national FA, you are someone who's a big shot, right? In your mind, you're someone who's big, like you're a decision making person who's into football, who's doing something, right? At the end of the day, if you look at the economic scenario and if you look at things from a reference point of view, you're as much struggling as anybody else in this country to develop football in the country. So why do you not treat everybody as an equal? Why do you not take information from everybody? Why do you not support them? Why do you not work with them? Instead of that, we Indians have a problem. We think we are babus. कुछ जगह मिल गया तो मतलब हाँ मेरे को मतलब I have the power to authorize have authority over people. If power is given to you, power is given to you to make things smoother and better, right? Not to subjugate people.
Your opinion, you put your opinion.
Not to subjugate people. So we see all this, and when you look at people who are working at clubs, it's so difficult to talk to them. It's so difficult to communicate
Approach.
with them. To approach them. Somebody who's working in the national FA, who's so difficult to approach with them. They think that okay, they're organizing one tournament, they can treat anybody like bullshit. So you have that superiority complex which is functioning across clubs, state affairs, national affairs, and the federation. And if that doesn't change, there will always be animosity between the masses and the people in power.
Okay.
Right? And if that keeps on going and going and going and going and going and going and going, you will see that no development can ever happen, because that's at the end of the day, your target consumer is the fan.
Yeah.
So if you behave like a dick, sitting on top, then the fan is going to be disenchanted with you.
Totally.
They will not be able to connect. They can connect with the club, but they will not be able to connect with you. Right?
Yeah.
Lose trust in you. They will protest all the time. They will, not listen to what you say. Even if sometimes you have good things to say, they will not accept it. Right? So in that sense, you have to build relationships. It's a relationship building game, right? And that is missing in Indian football. And if you look at the way these national referees have changed, if you look at Malaysia, I don't know about Indonesia, but Malaysia, Japan, and Vietnam, they work closely with their fans. They work. It doesn't mean so. The thing is that if you're working with the fans, it means the fans can't question you, right? If they say that okay, I'm working with the fans, it means they are on our side. Boss, that is not how it works. The fans are independent, different people. They have their different ideologies, different function. You work with them. You don't acquire them. Here,
they're not a product. They're not a product which you acquire and
You're not a product. They're not a product. So the mentality in Indian football is that okay, if I have a fan club, to work with them means I've acquired them. So if I provide them support, it means I own them. Right? They have to do everything what we say. They have to, they can't protest against us. They have to follow our protocols. They have to follow whatever we do, whatever we say. Right? In that case, like everybody, sabko ijjat hota hai yaar. I mean, everybody has self-respect. Everybody has self-respect. By doing that, you're taking away the self-respect, right? And nobody likes that. Nobody likes that. So, it really amazes me that how they can't solve this similar problem, which is how to respect people. if they can't do that, I'm just not just talking about the administration, clubs, police, state FA, national FA, national federation, even people running businesses. For example, Sanjeev Goenka, you can see that for the last 7 months, 10 months, 12 months, you can see people are crying over something. What does it take for you to just remove that name, man?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just stupid. It'll change nothing.
It's an ego battle for him.
It's an ego battle. So these are small things. And the more these things continue, the more it affects, because it's not like we already have an empire built, right? We don't have an empire. We have to build that empire, right?
Yeah.
Indian football is not an empire. Indian football is what do you say? It's a brick, 3-4 bricks put together somehow or the other, right? It's not an empire. And within that also, if you start playing your ego, or if you start playing your bullshit and whatever it is, then like the brick is going to break into half. All you have is rubble on the floor, right? So people have to understand this, right?
Yeah, so these were all the questions I had to ask you, and it was really fun talking. It was a really real talk, and I feel that you gave, because of your traveling to various countries and being an actual fan on ground and being a judge, somewhat helping in journalism also, I feel that you helped us understand a lot about the Calcutta football culture and football culture in India compared to many other countries. So it was a really lovely time talking to you, and I learned a lot. Thank you.
All the best for your future endeavors, and stay connected, man.